On this mower here, what I've been doing is cross-referencing with my mower that I bought last year. So if I want to know where something goes over here, like where a part goes or which way something turns or whatever, I'll go over to my mower and take a look at it whenever I'm putting one of these back together. So these plates that go behind these drive pulleys here, that little plate right there, has a grease zerk on it. I ended up putting that grease zerk in here because that's how it is on my mower. So I ended up having to switch it around because obviously they shouldn't go in there. It should go in here because you can't get to it in there. So with it on the inside, you can actually get to it to grease it. First thing I got to do is take this pulley off right here. So first thing you got to do is drop your tools and then pick them back up. So let's get this taken off here. It's going to be a half inch bolts. Just loosen it up, loosen the inside up. And as you can see, this will turn like that, and that's what ends up pushing up against this belt. Just moves in and out to tighten it. But we're just going to go ahead. Let's see if we can, well, that's not going to really work. We're going to take the inside nut off here. We take this off. This thing's just, I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. It's going to be real simple just to put it back on here in a little bit. It's easier. Let's see if we can, we might be able to get this thing off here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We don't have to take it off. All right, we're going to pull that off. Now I got to take this off. Now, on the side of this pulley, it says tighten right hand. So this is the right hand pulley on the right hand of right side of the mower, and it says tighten this way and loosen this way. It'll be opposite on the other side. So I'm going to get a big crescent wrench and put it along here, and then I'm just going to loosen it up and take it off if I can find my gigantic crescent wrench, which is around here somewhere. Instead of shoving something inside the drum like I do, don't do that because you risk the opportunity of cracking your drum supports. Get a crescent wrench or a large wrench and put it in between the frame and the drum. They're two flat spots that you can put a wrench in there, and it's going to be a lot safer if you do that than shove something inside this drum. So don't do what I do here. Put a crescent wrench in there and you'll be a lot safer. Turn this off. All right, I'm going to take this pulley off. Okay, pulley just comes right off. And then there's a couple of spacers that go inside there. So there's a spacer and a washer that goes up against the pulley. Just pushes the pulley out so that way it'll line up with this one right here. And then these are going to be half-inch bolts also. So I'm going to take these off. I'll show you what's on the inside of here in just a second. Just put these bolts right there. This should be pretty simple. I'm just going to take these off and switch them around and tighten them back up. Shouldn't be that big of a deal, really. So on the inside of the frame, you'll have these. So they fit on there and they go around this. And that's just what allows the bolt to thread through that little hole right there. So you put it on the inside and then the bolt is able to thread through that and tighten itself together. Pretty simple, really. Once you take it apart, you'll see how it's supposed to go. Not as complicated as you would think, honestly. So let's get this guy off. off here. Okay, that guy. So there's two of them. One that goes on each side. So on the inside of the mower, you'll have these. All right, now let's see if this just comes off. Let's see if this comes off really easy. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So we go ahead and pull this off. All right. So then you have your clamshell. And it just clamshells open, and then you have this bearing that goes inside there. And so it just sets inside this clamshell, and then you grease that, and the grease just gets pushed in around the edges. And there's supposed to be a little hole on the side of the bearing, and grease will push itself inside that little bitty hole. And so it doesn't really take a whole lot of grease. So if you're going to grease these on the mower, then you don't need to use a whole lot, because there's no room for that grease to go. So once you start greasing, it's just going to start shooting out, because all it does is just push around this seal, and it'll push itself inside the bearing a little bit. So that's all I got to do. I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to go over here and take the other one off. It's the exact same process. Just take those bolts out. It should just come right off. Now mine came off really easy because I have already redone this mower. I've already reconditioned it. And so when you go to take yours off, these things could be absolutely stuck on there. And you may have to use heat and a bearing puller and God knows what if you go to take these off, because they probably haven't been replaced. These bearings will last almost forever because they don't, all they do is spin. They don't, I mean, there's nothing crazy. They don't spin very fast. All they do is run the drum. The drum's not spinning real quick. They're not under a whole lot of load really. So they could be completely stuck on there and rusted. And I've had a pretty hard time getting these off, honestly. But I'm going to go over there and do the other side. I'll be back. Now, when you go to put these back on, you're going to have these little plates, okay? And this little plate is going to go behind this clamshell. And then these two bottom bolts are going to go through this plate. And this is just a grass deflector. So whenever you put your side cover on and you have everything buttoned on there and nice and tight, grass can't get from the inside and come through here and get inside your cover and get all over your pulleys and your belts and stuff. So don't forget that you're going to have one of these. You just put it in, and then I'm going to take this and put it on the back, and it's going to go right around it just like that. And I'm going to bolt it up. Should be good. All right, so we got those switched around. So all I did was just unbolt everything and switch one side to the other and bolt it right back up. So now we have to put the sprockets or pulleys back on. So this says right here, right side, if you can see that. Tighten right side, right hand. So tighten's going to be this way. So you do exactly what it says. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to put the spacers back on. Don't forget, you're going to have a spacer and a washer. And that's just going to push up against the inside of this and space it out so that these will line up. So put that on. Put something inside your drum again. I'm just using this big crowbar right here. Let me get my big crescent wrench. And let's see, it says tighten this way. Okay, so let's tighten it up a little bit. Okay, let's try to get tighten it up pretty good. All right, pull this back out. And then we're going to put the belt back on. So you can take this off if you want, and you just put it right back on. It's not a big deal. Let's see if we can get this belt to go back on here. Yep, there we go, piece of cake. All right, and then we're going to tighten up the pulley, the tensioner, as it's called. Alright, so let's tighten this up. I'll go ahead and tighten the outside up and then loosen the inside. And when I loosen, I'm going to tighten the outside but loosen the inside, so that way I can end up turning this, and as you can see, this pulley's, this tensioner is going to move one way or the other. Let me move you over here. Okay. As I tighten it up, it's going to push up against the belt, and it's going to tighten it up. All right, now we have our belt pretty tight. It's not super tight. I mean, you don't want it to be absolutely ridiculous. You know, you want it to be just a little bit of play in there. So nothing super tight, nothing real loose. All right, everything's been put back together. We got the pulleys, spacers, belt, everything's been tightened up. So now, when you look under there, the grease zerk's going to be on the inside. So now you'll actually be able to get to it. So unfortunately, I had to take this thing back apart and do that for both sides. But now that we got it done, we can put the covers back on. This baby be ready to go.